Chiefs offense will be top 3 in the league. We'll start with Zack on this one. Are you buying or selling top 3 in the league? And let's just go either yards or points per game.
All right. So I'm going to buy this one. I was looking at some stats beforehand, and the Chiefs, even in a down year, they were first in the league in points per drive and yards per drive. So considering that they're going to still have Mahomes and Kelsey and the running backs, and they're going to have new wide receivers, but they seem like they're building chemistry as well as a strong offensive line. I think that they'll still be top 3 in those main categories. So I'm going to buy this one.
I like it. I didn't even think about that. You're buying it, Connor?
Yeah, I'm with them. Even with Alex Smith, you saw the Chiefs have like top 12 offenses before. So with Mahomes, even though you're projecting without Tyreek Hill, I think the Andy Reid Mahomes combo still with Kelsey too. I think it's enough easily to get that top 3 offense because they've never even been below it, I believe, with Mahomes. So it's about whether you think Hill is enough to knock him out of there. I personally think they have enough talent at wide receiver to sustain it, at least be top 3. So by points per game, yards per game, points per drive, whatever you want to do it, DVOA, I would take the Chiefs to still be there.
I have slowly turned the corner, I think, on the Chiefs offense. Not that I thought they wouldn't be top 10 or anything.
Which corner?
I've turned it in a positive direction.
Okay.
I even wrote down sell in my notes. I'll buy it too. I mean,
peer pressure.
There's going to be a little bit, yes, partially peer pressure, but partially, I don't think the learning curve and the adjustment period is going to be quite as big as people think. Some people are like, oh, it's going to take literally all season for them to get going. Like, they still have Patrick Mahomes. The offensive line is still there. You can plug in, I don't want to say plug and play all the wide receiver pieces, but they have guys that can win on their own. Like, it's a cohesive unit. It's not going to be a well-oiled, dominant road grading NFL record setting machine probably until the end of the year if it gets to that point. But is it still going to be really, really, really freaking good to start? Probably, no matter what. So I think I'm going to buy, even though I wrote down sell.
It's not a slam dunk buy for me. I think top 5 would be slam dunk buy. I think there's still a chance that they aren't. And it's more of a top 5 offense, like in the 5th spot. Just because there's a lot of good offenses around in the NFL. But I would say for my buys, I'm like 60% buying the actual narrative. So that's why I picked buy for this one.
I mean, I just think it's interesting because you have to look at it's either whatever stat you choose. So it's depending on the stat,
right.
Or, they say like for example, last season, the Cowboys, I think, might have been the number 1 offense by statistically. I'm not like them.
I think by some they were, yeah.
Yeah. But when you go into the playoffs, who do you fear more, the Chiefs offense or the Cowboys offense? So it depends on which
Dak Prescott, baby.
Yeah. So, I mean, and going back to Connor's point about DVOA, just looked it up. They were top 3 every year. Mahomes has been the starter in DVOA. So
that's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
We'll keep it on Mahomes. R.I.P. Therese Paylor. That's a fantastic screen name. I noticed that he's kept that all throughout. Pat is shattering at least one single season record this year. We'll start with Connor. No, we'll start with Zack. Actually, we'll start with Zack. Zack, are you buying or selling? Yeah, I'm sorry, Connor.
As much as I would love to say buy, and he throws for 56 touchdowns, or what's the yardage? Over 5,500, I think it is now.
Yeah,
I think it's 55.
As much as I want to say buy, I think it's a sell. And if you were asking me this next year with Juju if Juju came back with MVS and Sky back, I would have said probably buy. But just because and I know we talked about the learning curve, but I just think that there is going to be a little bit of a time period where it's going to be a different offense with maybe running game, or they're going to have to adjust scheme. So I'm going to sell this one.
Yeah, I'm selling too, I think. Sorry, Connor, I cut you off.
You skipped over me for the first.
Connor, you're just chopped liver
It's
for this podcast, man. I tried to let you get the drift,
go,
but
Jordan.
You just haven't got it yet.
It's all you. I'm gonna sell anyways.
I'm gonna start with Connor on the next 5 questions. I'm gonna sell here. I think he could push for passing yards, if he really, the Chiefs running game just wasn't working and they had to throw, and he averaged 320 yards. I think he's led the league in passing yards per game twice already. Definitely the year before last, and then possibly the year that he won MVP. He could push for that. I don't think he throws the record of touchdowns, and we'll talk about the stat line for him later. I'm selling that. We'll keep it on. Connor, do you have any further comments before we move on?
I agree with you on it. It would be yards, not touchdowns. I don't see how he would really do touchdowns with the new wide receivers. And I think they're going to run more, hopefully, in the red zone, which would the touchdown record is kind of a fluke because you can have a really good offense and a really great quarterback. And it's just you get rushing yards inside the red zone. And it just so happens that like there was a year, I think Rodgers' first MVP last 2 years ago, where they threw at the 1 yard line for touchdowns like 14 times or something. So it's kind of like, okay, kind of pumping up his numbers here a bit. Even though rushing at the 1 yard line actually is more efficient at scoring touchdowns. But it's Rodgers. So I guess they're like, it's fine. But that one's kind of luck based. The yards, I can believe it happening, but I wouldn't bet on it. So I'm going to sell as well.